Thank you, Sheila. I'm honored to be here today. My name is Husayn Karimi, and I'm a graduate student at MIT in the computer science department, where I also completed my bachelor's degree, as Sheila mentioned. I'm here today to speak about the surge in anti-Asian racism at institutions of higher education in the United States, a direct consequence of the increased aggression towards China. At MIT, international students make up nearly 42% of a graduate student community of 6,000. Of the international students, over 700 come from China, the most of any country other than the US, 300 from India, and nearly 200 from South Korea. And out of the approximately 1,500 postdoctoral researchers, 20% are from China, or around 300. International students at MIT and other research institutions teach undergraduates, conduct groundbreaking research, write grants, and are involved in other areas of work that are crucial to university operations. Moreover, they are our friends and colleagues and are a cornerstone of our community. Earlier this year, in July, the Trump administration announced a federal policy that placed harsh restrictions on international students, threatening over 1.1 million, over a third of whom are Chinese. Depending on their enrollment status with COVID, either all online or hybrid, those on student visas would not be issued visas for reentry or would be deported if they had no in-person coursework. After the attacks from the Trump administration on international students and scholars, the MIT administration responded by suing the federal government with Harvard to reverse the policy, which they did so successfully. This was not necessarily out of their own goodwill, but they recognized how critical international students are to research, teaching, and funding. They also recognized the advancements China has made in manufacturing, artificial intelligence, clean energy, quantum science, and other areas of high-tech research, and that it is actually in their best interest to learn from China and not box them out. In fact, according to MIT's own data, over the past decade, the number of papers co-authored between MIT researchers and lead researchers in Chinese institutions of higher education have increased by tenfold. But despite all of this, the United States has exercised a politics of fear towards international students. There's a proven pattern with the United States. In the buildup to a new war, the US manufactures a campaign of racist fear-mongering against an entire people, with the sole purpose of justifying and drumming up support for some aggressive act of war, in the worst case, military action that devastates a country. And as a son of immigrant parents from India and Pakistan with a very common Muslim name, it's actually something I've experienced directly at the height of the US invasion and occupation of Iraq that took the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, despite not even being from the country of interest. China is no different. In the case of graduate students, postdoctoral researchers, and visiting scientists, the Trump administration has falsely portrayed Asian international students as deceitful, as having ulterior motives. They call COVID-19 the China virus. The Trump administration has used rhetoric and enacted policies that do nothing but incite fear and scapegoat China for their own failures, most notably now over 200,000 COVID-related deaths in the United States. During the pandemic, by mid-June alone, the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council and Chinese for Affirmative Action collected reports of over 2,100 anti-Asian hate crimes in the United States. Now, for Asian international students, on top of the issues of visa precarity and re-entry, fear of retaliation because of visa status, and racist discrimination and harassment, they're threatened with outright exclusion from graduate school, postdoctoral research, and postgrad careers in the United States. In fact, my friends and I have spoken to Chinese international students at MIT who feel fearful of speaking up or expressing their political views because of the climate the Trump administration has created around China. These are just some examples of how the buildup to wars abroad have domestic consequences. The sections of the US government who are most aggressively beating the war drums against China are attempting to pull academic institutions into their camp, to demonize and isolate China and impose policies that discriminate against international students, particularly those of Asian origin. These policies are not only xenophobic and racist, but are a direct attack on the basic principles of academic freedom and actually inhibit breakthroughs in research. As graduate students, we refuse to be pawns of the US war drive against China. We say no to anti-Asian racism and xenophobia. But in order to adequately address this issue, we need to understand the root cause. That is a new Cold War against China. What we need is not more war and aggression, but collaboration and peace. Thank you.